No, it's crazy, but I think maybe we should start now.
No, I think you already did start, but you should have played the music.
You tried to take us out.
You're absolutely right.
We see the broadcast is live. You can't
yeah. Stupid me.
He's a dum-dum.
I am a dum-dum.
A ding-a-ling.
I am a ding-a-ling.
A doofus.
A what?
A doofus.
I am a doofus. Welcome to the Sports Porch Pittsburgh. Thank you for listening. And thank you for watching on social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, all over the world. And, of course, you can catch the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. And if you ever want to feel really, really good about yourself, you can visit us at theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
theporcheslive.com.
Yes, it's all one word, and it is that simple. So, hey, listen, guys, thanks for being here. We really, really appreciate it. We're going to jump into this show tonight. We're going to have a good time. It's all-star break time, which means I get to take a little nap now, finally. Those West Coast trips were brutal. I want to remind you, theporcheslive.com is our website, and we have something exciting going on. Listen, you can be a part of the show. You call that number on the bottom of your screen, 412-805-7236. Technology is a wonderful thing. We'll get you on the show because we want to know what you think. And we get a lot of questions about that tonight, I'm sure. So we want to know what you think. But I got a surprise for you guys.
What?
I want you notice the hat that I'm wearing here?
I see
a Pirates hat.
Yeah, it's a P.
It's a brand new Pirates cap, but I got a surprise for you. Hold on. I'm gonna change. And this is why you guys should have come to the studio tonight.
Oh, man.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm afraid of what's going on underneath there.
What's that
say?
What's that say?
Technical director.
Oh, my God.
There it is, baby. I am your technical director.
Let's say hello to Kenda, who has joined us this evening. Hi, Kenda.
Hey, Kenda.
Kenda's in the house.
Yes. Thank you for being here so much. And I want to remind everybody that the Buccos Report, which has been a blast doing, is available after every Pirates game on the podcast, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you podcast. And you can hear the Sports Porch every Sunday on American Busker iHeartRadio at 4 p.m. And Hockey Jesus, obviously. And send us your calls. Dial it in. We got lines open tonight, 412-805-7236. Let us talk right now about the Buccos. Why don't we do that? Let's talk about the Buccos.
Sure thing.
41-49 at the break. They squeaked out a win. It was a bullpen game. Leads me to believe that maybe every game should be a bullpen game for the Pirates. But I want to know how you guys think about it. Again, 412-805-7236. But before I say anything about it, because I've been the one doing all the Buccos reports, and thanks to everybody that listens. There's a lot of people that actually do listen to it, believe it or not. I want to hear from Schwab first on what he thinks about the first half of the season for the Pirates. And then we'll go down to the guy who swore off the Pirates a couple years ago.
1993, actually.
Yeah. The Sid Bream debacle.
I remember the date.
Yeah. And I remember the date too, actually. I don't remember the actual date. I just remember what it looked like. All right, Schwaber, what do you think? What's your grade on the Pirates right now?
My grade on the Pirates,
or how do you think they're first? I'm going to do a grade. I'm going to do a Buccos Report podcast in probably about 2 or 3 days, right after the All-Star break for the year. So what did their first half mean to you, if anything?
It meant nothing. I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of a shame because they really got off to a great start. And there was some hope. There was some hope that, maybe they weren't going to be as bad as everybody thought they were going to be. But it turns out that they are. Look, here's the thing. They're not god awful. They're not in 100-loss baseball team. I do actually think that they've got a few young players that have some potential. So, are they in the worst place they've been in the last 10 years? I'd say no. But there's also not a great plan towards success going forward either. So I sort of feel like, their best chance to be successful is sort of like to repeat the early McCutcheon team, where a bunch of their draft picks turn out to be really good players and they all kind of come up at the same time and they play some great baseball together. But if that doesn't happen, I don't really see them being, a contender for several years. And that's a big ask when you're basically putting it all on your draft.
Yeah. Steve, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, that's how the Pirates have to do it, though. They're not going to go out and spend $300 million on payroll. So the only way they can do it is through their draft. And they have proven in the past that they can get it done through the draft. And they did it with Garrett Cole. He was their ace. And this guy they just drafted yesterday could be their Garrett Cole.
We'll get to that.
He absolutely could be the guy. And if some of these hitters come around, like I like the fact that they're bringing up Henry Davis this year, and other young batters, I think this year is a loss. Let's just face it. Like this year is a loss for the Pirates. But I agree with you, Mark. They came out of the gate so quick. I think it was unrealistic to think they could sustain that. But they got so bad after that. It was like the overreaction, I think, was too much. So really all I'm really looking for the Pirates for the remainder of the year is to bring up the rest of their talent and see how it all works together towards the end of the year with only really having one true starter in the lineup, Mitch Keller. So if they can actually play 500 ball with only one true starter, they get this new pitcher into the mix next year, and now they got two really, quality starters. I think, that's going to make a big difference for next year. And honestly, this may be the first time I can say this as a real Pirates fan, that the fact that they did draft somebody of such high caliber in that first position was a surprise to me, honestly, because I thought they would just go for the high school kid. And because they didn't, I'm thinking that maybe they recognize they need to get better sooner than not later, which means I agree with you. Not this year, probably not next year either. Although next year I'm looking for more consistency in the team, but I think 2 years from now is the team that really is something to get excited about for maybe the first time since, they blew it when they had that 100-win team. So that's the way I'm thinking about this Pirate team. Unfortunately, I wish I was thinking a little bit more positively about this year, but they just don't have enough quality starting pitching to be able to compete, and you're right. They're not a horrible team like they had been the last 2 years. 100-loss teams are just awful to watch. Nobody wants to see them, but I actually see some sparks that makes me want to continue with this team, provided they don't sell them off at the trade deadline again.
Yeah, and that's always a question. So DG is in the house as always. Thanks for being here, DG. He says it meant nothing, and he laughs. We always count on Mark for his concise, unbiased perception. Unfortunately, when it comes to the Pirates, his comments are sad but true. Luke Morell is back watching. Thanks, Luke, for being here. What's up to you? Now, I have to address this. Karen was on the show last week. I'm definitely stopping contributing to your stars. True fans stay true fans without the criticism. This is where I'm going to disagree with you. True fans, they're with the team through the highs and the lows, and criticism only comes about because we want them to do better. And as fans, it's part of what we do is we criticize the team when the team is bad. I don't think there's a professional sports team, college sports team, high school sports team where there's nobody that is criticizing them and everybody's just, oh, it's hunky-dory, it's great. So you know what, Karen? I am very thankful that you're here and you watch. It really, it really means something to us when people get emotional and you have emotions about what we're talking about here. But I have to disagree with you completely. I mean, you don't have to contribute stars. That's fine. We're obviously not in this for the money.
Clearly.
I thought we're making a lot. I thought we're making a killing.
Maybe you are. I mean, but I'm not. And so I want you to keep talking. And look, if you have something to say, Karen, there's a phone number right there, 412-805-7236. Give us a call. All due respect. You're a fan. We're a fan. So, and we are true fans. So, yeah, it's love for the team. Absolutely. And DG, don't be a Karen. We're all just having fun. Now, let's just be nice to Karen, though. I'm not being mean to Karen. I think it's wonderful that she watches the show and she has such passion for the team and she doesn't want to hear anybody say anything negative. But the point is, when there's something negative about it, you got to bring it out. So I'll tell you what.
Also, kind of on that mark there. Now, look, the owners of the teams often do not listen to the fans.
Oh, of course not.
But sometimes they do.
Yes.
Sometimes they really do. And if the fans don't, state, what their concerns are, that's another vehicle to right the ship for the better that you're not taking advantage of.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think the owners also think about their wallets too. And when they looked at the picks ahead of them, they said, now, would it make sense to spend the $10 million on this pitcher now and have this pitcher for 3 or 4 years at a very cheap rate and then have a nice piece to be able to sell off unless, you hit pay dirt. And who knows? They might hit pay dirt. I mean, it's very possible the Kansas City Royals did it with a lesser roster, you might even say. So, dude, I will take a World Series, not even if we don't even win it, just to be in the World Series in the next 3 years over what we have had the past 25 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's including the cut years. Yeah, the good.
It's like I would rather them just go all in, And okay, maybe they don't make as much money, but they will absolutely make money if this team goes to the World Series. I promise you, they'll make more money that year than any other year.
Yeah, I agree. So I want to address a couple of things you guys brought up. Okay, so it's not 100-loss team. Well, when we were 20-8, it didn't look that way. But since then, we've been 21-41. That's 100-loss team. So I don't know. Obviously, there are two big issues with the Pirates right now. One is starting pitching. We've talked about that. Mitch Keller looks great. He really does. He had a damn good outing the other night against the Diamondbacks. He took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. And then after the fact, Shelton pulled him in the 7th inning. And I have to disagree with that. I think you let that guy go. He'd given up one hit. And they go to the bullpen. They end up going into extra innings, and then Bednar comes in and pitches 2. And, he's not going to be perfect. Bednar's a great reliever, but nobody's perfect the whole season. And that happened to be the game where he couldn't hold them. And Arizona ended up winning. And next thing you know, they waste another great outing by Mitch Keller. And I know it's frustrating for the whole team, and I know it's frustrating for the manager, but I have to question that decision. He comes back against that was after he had a fairly, by his standards this year, not a great outing at all against the Dodgers, but it wasn't a horrible outing. So, and then you've got a young guy like Ronzi Contreras, who in the beginning of the year was pitching very, very well. He seemed to lose his mojo. He's only 23. So they finally optioned him back down, which I think they should have done weeks ago. And the bullpen had some injuries and it got kind of messed up. I contend that the real issue here this year is the hitting and the lineup. And I know I'm a parrot. I'm parroting this over and over again. I'm a broken record. Figure out the damn lineup. Okay. I am now convinced that Ji-Hwan Bae is not a good player yet. He's basically in his rookie year, but even though I think he should be batting leadoff, I think that he should have been batting leadoff from day one because of his ability to run, his speed, and his scrappiness. And at the same time, I'm not sure he belongs on the roster right now. Sawinski is an enigma to me. If the guy had 10 more hits this year, he'd have 22 home runs. He'd be batting, 260, and he'd be in the All-Star game. Okay. So why are you taking him and moving him from, second to third to sixth to fifth to fourth to, he has demonstrated on all the games that I've watched that he is the number 5 hitter right now. And he probably, if he raises his average, he could be the number 4 hitter. You put him in the lineup when guys are going to be on base. They had an injury to Kutch. He's back on the IL. And Ke'Bryan Hayes is on the IL. But that Jared Triolo, he's got a better glove than Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's got a better glove. He is a better fielder. And everybody says that Ke'Bryan Hayes is this otherworldly fielder. Well, listen, I've watched like 80 games this year. He was good, but I didn't see anything spectacular. I mean, I saw good plays that maybe some third baseman may not have gotten to, but in the small sample size with Jared Triolo, now he made a couple mistakes in the last game, but they weren't errors. They were just, kind of fielding. They gave the guy a hit, but I've seen Triolo in his small sample size make some absolutely unbelievable plays, and he's a better hitter than Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's a better hitter. So, I think the problem is we don't have the pop in that lineup, which leads me to this, and then I'll let you guys go to town. I didn't agree with the Paul Skeens. I think we should have taken Dylan Cruz. I think we should have taken an everyday player who is going to hit the ball and hit it hard, and he could actually end up playing in the major leagues next year. Skeens, he throws too hard. He's going to have arm problems. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, you're completely wrong. And number one, when did you start becoming an analytics guy? The analytics guys will tell you that he's going to have arm problems. Maybe he's just a guy who can throw the ball and take it every single week. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, man. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. And, and the bottom line is, look, I mean, there's a lot of guys who can hit the ball. There aren't a lot of number 1 starters.
True.
And, your number 1 starter goes out every 5th day. And what's really important that they do is, when you have a lockdown number 1 starter, every 5th game, you've got a chance to win, honestly, no matter how good the offense is. And it also is a loss stopper, so you don't usually get into lengthy losing streaks when you have, a 1A type starter. And the bottom line is, believe it or not, they say he's more ready than the outfielder is. They say he could I don't think they're going to have him do it, but they say he could potentially pitch in the majors this year.
Yep.
So, that's always the right move. You got to think about it like this. You got to think about, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Nolan Ryan or,
the greatest pitcher of all time?
Yeah, is it going to be Nolan? Are you going to pick Nolan Ryan, or are you going to
the greatest pitcher of all time?
Are you going to pick Mookie Betts? You're going to pick Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, I agree with Mark here. I mean, the reality is the Pirates will never ever go out and buy a pitcher. They just won't, and they will only have the opportunity to have a guy like this potentially is if they draft him. So that's why I like it. I agree with you. They do need somebody to have more pop in the lineup. I mean, Sawinski this year is that guy, but let's face it, he strikes out way too many times.
Yes.
And he can hit a curveball. And to your point about injury, the injury doesn't come from throwing the ball hard. The injury comes from throwing all the junk. That's what really messes up. That's what really messes up the muscles in the shoulder, and it's certainly in the elbow.
Right.
So if he's got a strong arm, he's always going to have a strong arm. Now, over time, after 5 years of throwing it, he's going to have to learn to do something else. Even Nolan Ryan still can throw a strong fastball today, but it's clearly not, 108 miles per hour fastball. It's only, 78. So you do lose that speed over time, but we don't care about pitchers over time at Pittsburgh. We only care about the next 3 to 4 years. That's about all we can afford. That's all that they will shell out to keep. They can afford to keep him, but they won't keep him. In fairness to the owners this year, they have shelled out more money than ever before for players. So maybe that will change even in 3 years from now. I'm hoping if this prospect turns out to be really good. But I do agree with you. It is a sexy pick to take a guy who can hit the hell out of the ball and is always on base and is a good base runner and is very look at who's that guy in Cincinnati now, Dela Cruz or somebody like that. Yeah. I mean, he's just a phenom, and you see him in all the highlights, right? So the opposite is true. When you have somebody who's that dynamic and is really great, it's good for your team. That's good publicity, and it really sparks the whole team to have a player like that. But I contend that they can go out and get that person once they become a little bit more relevant than 41 and 49 at the All-Star break.
Yeah, and that's the issue now, and let's transition right to that. And first, let's get DG's comment in here. Experts claim that Skeens is a generational talent. If that pans out, this will be remembered as a good pick. And the problem is, Garrett Cole is always going to be remembered as a good pick. That's why, we get excited about things like this, but past history with this ownership group has shown that, even if they do pan out, they're not going to pan out here for long. And, you never know. Look, owners do have changes of heart sometimes. So as long as you know that the ownership group that you have, and in this case, the Nutting family, is not going anywhere, then you just have to hold out hope that maybe they have a change of heart and decide to do things differently. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you can always hope. And Lauren chimes in and says one contract and done. Right.
Lauren's probably right. I mean, that's what they've always done. I mean,
that's
it's hard to break up from that, Yeah. I mean, but like I said, the last year they've shut out more money than ever before. Maybe there is a different philosophy going on in the management. I don't know, or the ownership, I should say.
And so that leads us to this. This is always the hard time of year. Okay, we're 8 games under 500. We're 8.5 back in the Central Division. And if you've listened to the Buccos report after every Buccos game on the Sports Porch podcast, you know that my opinion is, and you guys can disagree with me if you want, but I don't think you're going to. The only playoff team coming out of the NL Central is going to be the winner of the NL Central. So if you're talking about, playoffs. Yeah. I mean, you think that guy you think Mora goes to bed at night and wakes up sweating, screaming playoffs because it totally ruined his career as a coach?
Well, everybody wants a meme. That's his meme.
That's his meme.
That's his meme.
He created a meme before memes were something. So, the danger here is that that the Pirates are going to be, it's not will they be, they are going to be sellers at the trade deadline. They're not going to stand pat.
Well, I mean, as long as they sell guys like Jaewon Bay,
But
I'm okay with that.
But what are they going to get for him?
Who cares? He doesn't have to play for us anymore, and that's the important thing. Like Nick Gonzalez clearly is the future at second base.
Right.
Just start playing him now and trade the other guy. I mean, I think that's the important thing with this team. You want to find out who is your future and just start playing them. Jaewon Bay, okay, thank you for a half a season of mediocrity. Your services are no longer needed. Nick Gonzalez is the future. I say the same with the catching. With the catcher position, Austin Hedges, thank you for being a rental player for half a year.
Please leave.
You no longer are necessary. We have plenty of other catchers, including our right fielder, Henry Davis, who would like to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Somebody is madly in love with Austin Hedges, though.
For sure. Well, because he's a great character guy and he's awesome in the locker room.
I love those character guys.
And he's got big eyes. Yeah, I that to me is still an absolute mystery. It's a total mystery. I can't think of how many games it's come down to the either the 8th or the 9th inning, and you're coming up on the bottom of that lineup, and the Pirates are down by 2, not 1. That didn't happen a whole lot, but they're down by 2, and you're throwing up a guy batting 178. Pinch hit for him, or let delay.
Yeah, it is a mystery within a enigma within a conundrum.
It's like a turducken. It's
absolutely like a turducken, but not as tasty.
It has nothing to do with food.
Yeah. I know. My wife and I saw some shoes at Nordstrom this past week, and I said, those are turducken shoes. I should have taken a picture because I can't paint you a picture, but next time I'll take a picture. So
thanks for sharing. I really wanted to talk some women's shoes.
I was really hoping we were talking about turducken shoes tonight.
Were they Jimmy Choo shoes?
Who doesn't? No, they were. I
don't really want to know.
I think they were Louis. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So
the turducken version.
I guess the point that I was trying to make
matter.
I guess the point that I was trying to make about this, guys, was that of course, go ahead, trade Jaewon Bay, but the whole idea behind this is that the Pirates, when they do this, they always want to justify it, whether it's right or wrong, the return that they're getting. They always want to say, yeah, this guy was doing well for us, but look at the players we got. And Jaewon Bay is not the kind of guy you trade. My concern, and look, I could be completely wrong about this, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this is my concern. My concern is that the people that are going to be on the trading block, and I don't know about contract issues and stuff like that. Maybe it's impossible for some of these guys, but are going to be Bednar, Keller, Sawinski. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Sawinski.
I don't think they're going to get rid of Keller at this point. I think they recognize that if they traded away Keller, even if they got another great prospect and another good pick, that they're basically signaling this season's garbage, and even next season is garbage because they won't have anybody to replace him except for maybe schemes. And once again, he's just a prospect.
He's an unknown, right?
Yeah. So I don't think. I mean, I was high on the horse about him definitely going to be traded at the deadline. I don't see that happening now. I will be very surprised. I won't be disappointed about anything this organization does, but I will be surprised if they do end up trading him at the trade deadline. I think he's an important part moving forward. You got to keep a couple important parts. And Kutch, to me, he's the guy that's on the bubble. Like, I think they could probably get something for him, but do they want to keep him? I wouldn't be upset if they traded him, but it doesn't look good for them because then they're basically signaling, yeah, we just brought him in to put fans in the seat early in the season, and that's not a good look for the organization.
Yeah, I mean, they could trade Kutch and get a return because Kutch is a veteran bat, and a team that has playoff potential could use a veteran bat and would definitely. I guarantee you, they're going to get offers for Kutch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it would be a PR
well,
nightmare.
Keller too. They'll get offers for Keller too.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. The one guy I think that'll go is probably Rich Hill, and he's the guy that I feel really bad about because when he plays, he literally looks like he's going to pass out halfway through the game. I mean, 43 years old. He's sweating, he's swearing, he's talking to himself, and I got to hand it to the guy. He pitches his heart out. He is an old school, let me eat up the innings. I'm going to throw you junk. I'm going to catch you off guard. And he's just, I hate to say it, Mr. Hill, he's on his last legs, but he's got a good year left in him. And I think if they're going to do anybody a favor, because look, you can see the frustration that he has pitching for the Pirates.
Over the hill.
Well, yeah, right. Nice. But I think if they're going to do anybody a favor, they should do him a favor. They should, there's a potential contender out there who's looking for a back of the end, back of the rotation kind of guy who can eat up some innings and maybe even come in relief for a change of pace, because he doesn't throw it very fast. Although I have seen him throw a couple balls in the mid 90s, but I mean, that's like he's gassing it out and then they got to give him a respirator before he throws the next pitch. But, I think that's the guy that really, I don't know what your return is going to be for him other than a couple prospects. But he's the guy I think is probably going to go for sure. That would be my guess.
I think it's going to all be determined by how well they play over the next 3 weeks.
Well, yeah.
If they have a really bad July, and go I don't know, 5-10 or something, then you've got a bigger chance of somebody of worth being traded. Whereas if they play 500 ball, and they're not really in it. I mean, they're like 6.5 out, I believe, of the last wild card. But if somehow they find themselves at the end of July 3 out of the wild card, then I don't think anybody of decent worth is going to be traded.
Well, that's the thing, and this goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, Schwaber. They're 8 out of the wild card right now.
Oh, are they? Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm looking at the standings right now. They are 8. The Mets, the Cubs, the Padres, the Brewers, and the Phillies are actually a half game out of the wild card right now. And then you have the Giants, Diamondbacks, and Marlins. Okay. But the wild card does not matter in this division unless somebody catches fire who's not going to win it. So
what are they out of the division?
8.5.
Oh, 8.5 for the division.
Yeah. So basically they're 8.5 games out of a playoff spot. And Cincinnati has a great young team that was totally underestimated and got off to a horrible start. The Cubs are a better team, and the Brewers, they're not really, what's funny is they're not really a better team. They're pretty much an even team on paper, but they're pesky, and they do have some hitters in the lineup. So I just don't think that it's possible that they even make a run for it unless a miracle happens and they rattle off 10 straight wins and play 500 ball the rest of the way. And with the lineup the way it is right now, and with the pitching the way it is right now, it's just not a possibility. So they're going to be sellers. There's no doubt about it. The question is, who are they going to sell? They don't have a whole lot to sell. So on a positive note, Ji-Man Choi, or I always get the name. Choi is back in the lineup. Now, everybody's talking about how he's not hitting the ball very well. Well, he got injured earlier in the year, but he has a little pop in his bat. So maybe if he can solidify and maybe be that number 4 hitter, and you have Santana at 6 and Sawinski at 5, then you've got something going there. Who knows? Who knows? And there are some other guys that will come back from injury, like Kutch, like Key Brian Hayes, and maybe they can put something together. But I'm not very optimistic. However, we're going to continue the Buccos reports on the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts, because I do have fun doing it. And I do
That
enjoy
is something that only a true fan would do.
That's right, Karen. Okay, so
that Mark said that, Chris. Mark said that.
I know. I was, you know what I was doing.
Well, I'm saying anybody that would subject themselves to that task.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, and you are absolutely subjecting yourselves to really a death sentence.
Well,
it's torture.
I think you're taking years off of your life by doing this. You recognize that, right?
I see it as like CIA level torture.
I listen, you guys know
can't
me
argue with it. It's just
no, but you guys know me well enough to know that I've probably already taken all the years off my life that anybody could possibly take.
No, but this is waterboarding. I don't think you could deal with that.
That other stuff was a lot more fun. That's
true.
Definitely the way to take years off your life. This we're questioning it.
That's you guys are like, why don't you just go, like, why don't you just get a drug addiction or something? That might actually be more fun than watching the Pirates. No. Yeah.
You shouldn't say things like that with our viewers.
Oh, I like that kind of party.
So, okay, let's move on here. Steelers, are we going to have a little debate here on whether or not Mike Tomlin is the greatest coach that ever lived or not? Is it time for that debate?
Who started this debate?
I think it was people who got bored waiting for training camps to start. They're like, what can be more controversial? Talking about Tomlin as being one of the greatest coaches of all time, or, whether Kenny Pickett's going to be great this year. And they decided, the Kenny Pickett talk will kind of play itself out in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So why not start this conversation about whether Mike Tomlin has been a great coach in the NFL?
I just started it, and if you're listening to us and you want to voice your opinion, you're not going to be on screen. You're just going to be a voice. You can call us at 412-805-7236. It's right down there on the bottom of the screen. So is Mike Tomlin one of the top 10 all-time NFL coaches? Does anybody think that?
No, I don't.
Honestly.
I mean, I think there are people that do think that, though. I mean, they look at his his overall record. They say things like, "Well, he has made it to 2 Super Bowls," and they say things like, "He's never had a losing record since he's taken over the team."
Hold on. He's made it to 3-1 too, right?
He's made it to 3-1.
Well, fellas, we do have a call coming in here.
Well, let's see what they have to say about Tomlin.
Yeah, let's see. I gotta. Thank you for calling the Sports Porch.
Oh,
hello
there.
How are you guys tonight? I just wanted to say that I'm enjoying the show.
Oh wow, thank you.
I recognize that voice.
It's nice to have you on the show.
Well, I just, thought I'd call. Hopefully Mark isn't telling any dating stories from his wild days.
Not yet, but since you brought them up, you just opened it up.
Yeah.
Well, so what is your opinion? Is Mike Tomlin one of the greatest football coaches of all time?
No. I would say he's a good, kind of steady Eddie. He's usually a good coach just because of his winning record, never having a losing season record. But I would say not the top 10 best, because he should have won more Super Bowls when he had the team with AB and Ben and, all those good players.
It's hard to argue with that logic.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, would I put him as one of the better NFL coaches in history? Like, if you're not ranking them, yeah, I do, because I think that, and I was having a discussion with a friend of ours right before the show on this, an avid Steelers fan who I'm sure will call in at some point, or maybe even make an appearance. But I think he's done a great job at keeping the team, when it was looking like it was going to fall, keeping them at or above mediocrity. which is it's really not easy. It's really not easy to do that. I mean, an NFL team has a lot of moving parts, and the Steelers have had a lot of moving parts, and some of them have been a little bit on the crazy side. And the fact that he's never had a losing record, I think, is really, that speaks to his ability to coach. But there's no Mike Tomlin coaching tree that I'm aware of. Does that make sense, caller?
Yes, that makes sense. I agree with what you're saying 100%.
Can I use your name, caller? Caller,
yes.
Can I? Yeah, Amy.
Yes. I would definitely say he's definitely in the top 50, maybe even 20. I'm not sure about that, but I would definitely not say top 10. But I mean, I still think he's been a good coach, and we never go into the season thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a crap show.
A crap show?
A crap show, yeah.
Yes, we understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys talk.
Well, thanks for calling, Amy. We appreciate it.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
Some good insight from
There you go.
one of the
Yeah,
young
I mean, I
lady
think she made
fans.
some really good points
She
about
did. She
about
did.
him being a steady Eddie, believe was the word she used.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because he really has been that. I mean, he's
Mhm.
he's taken some really average teams and made them a little bit better than average, actually almost made them playoff teams. But unfortunately, with the really good teams, he wasn't able to take them to the promised land. And unfortunately, here in Pittsburgh, well, maybe in the past anyways, in Pittsburgh, that was the standard. And since we haven't been to a Super Bowl, if we don't make it this year in 13 seasons, that will mark our longest drought with no Super Bowls since the relevant 1970 season when the Super Bowl started. So that's a big negative. Even if he does have a winning record this year, to have the record of the longest drought of not making a Super Bowl will absolutely put him in the spotlight among Steelers fans. That I promise you.
And here's the thing. I mean, there's definitely something to say for the team never bottoming out. And, I don't know what it is. Maybe there were like 3 8-8s in there, or 3 9-8s in there, or whatever they were. But to be honest, being a football fan, I would much rather have my team bottom out, have a 3-13, 3-14 season, have a 4-12, 4-13 season, and then come back and have a run for like 7 years and win 2 Super Bowls. I would rather that than 13 years straight of a winning record.
Right.
Yeah, well, the philosophy of the Pittsburgh Steelers is, as long as you can make the playoffs, you have a chance at getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that is a philosophy, but I think there are some flaws in it, because we all know that you have to be playing a certain way when you make it into the playoffs. You can't just arrive and then suddenly start playing like a Super Bowl team. And right. I think that's been the problem with the Steelers. Like, in the years where they've been good, they kind of limped into the playoffs. In the years when they made it into the playoffs and they weren't necessarily good, they were playing well, but they didn't really have a great team where you were like worried about, them beating you in the first round. And I think that's been the problem with the Steelers for over a decade now. And they haven't really changed the way they've approached that. So that's all we're really expecting. Okay, well, if we make the playoffs this year, then we'll probably be pretty good. And unfortunately, I just don't think the talent right now is there to be able to consider ourselves relevant, especially with those who are saying that the Steelers this year are going to reach the AFC Championship. I just don't see the talent level unless Kenny Pickens can somehow turn into Dan Marino this year, or even a better Trevor Lawrence than what happened with Trevor Lawrence last year. That would be the only way that would absolutely shock me, because this division is going to be very good, and the games are going to be very tough when we're playing against our division. So We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out. But as far as Tomlin being an all-time great coach, top 10, absolutely not. I do agree with Amy. I think you could probably make a play for him being in the top 25 maybe of all times. If I created a list, I bet he would probably fit in there around between 20 and 25, somewhere in that neck of the woods, because the guy who actually has the record for the consecutive number of years and he retired, the only reason it didn't get worse was Chuck Noll. And Chuck Noll clearly is a Hall of Fame coach with 4 Super Bowl wins. But he didn't really end his career on a very high note. In fact, he basically peaked early and really just kind of held on the last 12 years of his career before he retired and handed over the reins to Bill Cowher. So
this is a replay, other than Tomlin didn't win 4 Super Bowls. So
okay. It could be. Who says Tomlin's not going to coach for the Steelers another 5 or 10 years?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, he has not said that he's tiring of being a football coach. He says he wakes up every day thinking about how to make this team better. Like okay. This guy still loves the game. So and the Steelers are not going to fire him from the position. So
I doubt it.
I mean, but I think it'll be really interesting when they don't make the Super Bowl this year if people start picking up on the fact that he will be the longest tenured coach in Steelers history not to make a Super Bowl and what that means to the organization.
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll push this debate. Maybe we'll come up with a list, or Steve can come up with a list when we get more into football season, which is fast approaching and we can't wait.
Yeah.
We're going to do a quick one here. Hockey Jesus has some preaching to do about the Penguins. You can always call us at 412-805-7236. Couple moves and we're wrapping up on the hour here and we got one more segment. So make it quick, HJ.
Make it quick. I don't believe that this happened. I think this happened after our last show. They signed Will Butcher, which I just love this signing.
I love the name.
It's a great name. The guy actually won the Hobie Baker Award is the best college player. And at the time, this was like 3 years ago, the Penguins really were out to get him. And they lost him, I believe, to maybe New Jersey, and he ended up in Buffalo. Anyways, they signed him. So I think that's a really good signing. I love that signing. I think that could really work well, especially if they still get Eric Carlson, which we'll talk about in a second. They also signed 2 other guys, Vinny Hinostroza and Andreas Johnson. Hinostroza's from Buffalo and Johnson's from San Jose.
Are you sure that's not Janssen?
Janssen, I don't know. He is definitely he's basically heading to the minor leagues. He's not really going to play for the Penguins. What they're trying to do is with all these signings, and they've signed so many bottom 6 guys, you're just going to see who can make the team, and then everybody else is going to go to Wilkes-Barre. What's basically they're trying to do is help their the baby Pens, not with their draft picks so much as with some of these guys who are signing 2-way contracts, so they can send them down. Most of these guys will clear waivers. You still have to clear waivers, so there is a chance that they could sign them. They send them down, they don't clear waivers, and somebody else picks them up, but it's a small risk. So that's what's going on in the world of hockey. The thing to pay attention to the next 24 to 48 hours is the Eric Carlson deal. The Pens are still in it, supposedly. It seems like the deal may be down to either us or Carolina. I think this is a game changer for the Penguins if they can get Eric Carlson and either get rid of Petrie's contract or supposedly Granlund's contract is in the mix also. So, we talked about Granlund and the fact that they didn't buy out his contract. Looks like he may be part of this deal to get Carlson in. Somebody's going to eat Granlund's contract, and we're going to take on Carlson. Now, Carlson is an $11.5 million guy. The Pens don't have that kind of cap space, so they'll have to clear some cap space to be able to sign him, and that's what's taken this so long. I don't think he actually wants to go to Carolina. There was some talk about Carlson and Brett Burns, who used to play together in San Jose, not really getting along. Those could just be rumors created by Penguins fans so that he doesn't go to Carolina. I think if he goes to Carolina, that Carolina team is clearly the front runner in the East to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. They would just be incredible with Carlson as part of their defensive pairing. So, and they went and got Orlov too. So that makes them a much more higher scoring defense than ever before from that position than they ever have been. They've not really seen a lot of scoring from there. So, yeah, so that's your Hockey Jesus update, and I'm getting really excited about the new season coming up. Now that the draft has been done, it looks like most of the free agents have signed. These are trades, by the way. These guys are already signed, so it's not like you're just going out to sign the guys. Most of the guys who signed, who are free agents, already have been signed. There are a few that are lingering out there, but most of these are just trade deals for teams, for players who just don't want to play on their team anymore, and they're just trying to get rid of them to switch up their team before the season starts.
So, Steve, quick Wimbledon question for you.
Djokovic.
On the men's side, Djokovic or the field?
You got to go with Djokovic, right? I mean, the guy's on a mission, and he's just playing incredible hockey right now.
Tennis, you mean?
Yes. Yeah, I said hockey. Why did I say hockey?
They're both the same to me. So whatever.
Well, they both have
one stick
versus a stick, a puck versus a ball. No, they're not even close.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like Djokovic a lot. I think he's the man. I think he's going to win all four of them. I think he's going to complete the Grand Slam this year.
That would be something.
I mean, Nadal's out of the mix, so who's going to stop him?
Right.
You know, that's the thing.
Very true.
That's always, and I don't think Nadal can stop him on grass. Anyways, he's the best. He's the best grass player of all time, better than Federer even, which is incredible to say because he was an incredible talent on the ice. I mean, on the grass.
Yeah. I stopped
watching. Chris, any Wimbledon choices?
Chris, what do you think about the women's draw?
Well, I do think John McEnroe still has a shot, and
John McEnroe,
Jimmy Connors.
You going Swiatek?
Wait. Are you telling me that John McEnroe had a sex change? Is that what you're trying to break on the Sports Porch tonight?
That question scares the hell out of me, so I'm not even going to answer it. Okay, what are we watching? What are you watching?
We almost forgot.
Call us at 412-805-7236 and tell us live what you are watching, because we are going to tell you what we are watching right now and what we are enjoying. And I am going to lead it off with this. This is Steve.
No,
I have no idea. What is that? What are you doing?
This is a game that you can play on the internet. It's called Puckdoko. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to pick players who fit both categories. So in this case,
this already sounds too complicated.
You have to pick a player who has 40 plus goals in a single season and also played for the Dallas Stars, or a 40 goal scorer, and you get 9 chances. So there are 9 spaces. So basically you get 9 shots. And if you get all 9 in 9, then good for you.
Are you watching yourself play it?
I'm watching others. You're supposed to submit and then you can see others' results. So in a way, it's just a game. But actually, I do have to admit that I did see a real movie. I did go see Indiana Jones. And
what'd you think?
And the Dial of Destiny.
I heard it wasn't very good. Your comments?
So it's what you would expect it to be. And in fact, I actually think they did a really good job of making it look like Indiana Jones can still move like he's 40 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty incredible because, I mean, clearly Harrison Ford has completely lost it. But when he puts that hat on and that leather jacket and he gets his whip out, like you actually believe like he could still do it.
He's Indy all over again.
Yeah, I mean I thought that was pretty incredible. They had some touching moments, but that Phoebe Cates Bridgers or whoever that is, she plays the lead opposite of him. She steals the show. She's just phenomenal. She's in Fleabag. You've probably seen her.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, and she was just great. Like she made the whole movie. Her acting was just incredible, and the action scenes, they're not good to today's standards, but by, when Indiana Jones started, it's the same standard. They kept the same standard of, you were kind of on edge at times, but not really. I mean, how many times can centipedes come out of the wall and climb all over you, and you get, really freaked out by that?
Happens in my basement every day.
Plus, whenever you hear dun 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 dun, dun like he's getting out of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, he has gotten out of it. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, Mark, you are watching something.
I've already watched it.
You have watched something.
Yep. Love and Death on Max. It's like, I can't remember exactly. I think it was like 10 episodes. And it was great. It was great. It's a true story about a housewife turned axe murderer in the 70s in a nice church-going town.
I think I watched that movie on Skinamax.
It's not a movie. It's a series. And no, for those of you who don't know what Skinamax is, it's something they used to call Cinemax, a channel that
late night
stuff late at night.
Everybody knows
Cinemax
in the 80s, but of course you would know all about that, Chris.
Everybody knows. Well, you seem to know a lot about it too.
I will tell you what, though, I can guarantee you within 30 seconds you will watch this show, Chris, and you will probably drop whatever you're watching now to watch it. Okay?
All right.
Reason being, one of the lead characters in it is that guy that you really like, who played the troubled brother in Ozark.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You like that guy, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
he plays a lawyer in this, and he's actually very, very good. And believe it or not, Elizabeth Olsen, the normal one, not Kate and Ashley Olsen. She was phenomenal in it, and I'll tell you what, I feel pretty certain that she's got awards in her future. It's very good. You'll enjoy it.
Love and Death on Max. Okay.
HBO Max.
I watched, we're getting a bunch of comments in here. Amy says it's great. I loved it. I'm not sure who DG's talking about. I think I used to date her, probably the previous.
One of the Olsens.
Maybe it's possible. I don't know.
No, I think he put it up there when you showed the picture of whoever that was in the picture of love.
No, he was talking about the murderous housewife. Yeah.
Sorry about that, David.
Yeah, you know what, David? I'm right there with you. I think I dated her too. I think I married her. Not the current one. Anyway, so I'm watching something. This was something that I totally just watched it on a whim. It's a movie. It's on Apple Plus. Tetris. Okay.
Oh, you loved that game.
Yes, one
of the most all-time played video games.
Yes, and it was.
It's actually number 2.
I just have to update the ticker because I did it wrong. So let's get that up there. Yes, Tetris on Apple TV Plus. I decided I thought, I don't know if this is going to be any good, but right. The title caught me, and it's a true story. And it's one of the most incredible stories I've ever watched about something that is true to life. And then in the end, of course, they bring and DG says, yes, the axe murderer. They bring in some of the real life characters that are still alive, and they talk a little bit about it. And then I watched the extras stuff, and it's the story of how Tetris became a video game in the West. And I don't want to ruin it for you. So all I'm going to say is it was a Russian programmer in Soviet era Russia who created this video game in Russia at a government agency. And this guy this American that lived in Japan and was kind of a software programmer, publisher, somehow he got wind of it. And not only did he get wind of it, but Robert Maxwell, You know that name? Robert Maxwell?
No.
No.
The big publisher from Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey.
Oh, the publisher.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah,
This is what I did not realize, that at the time, and Mark, you're just blowing smoke up my ass. I know. Oh yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, that felt good. Thanks for that.
Everybody knows about him. Yes. Anyway, so there's a tie to the Maxwells that is really, really interesting. And what they had to go through to get the rights to this game and bring it over here. It's like a spy movie. It's like a Mission Impossible. And it was done really well. It's great. If you ever played Tetris, you will really, really appreciate this movie. And if you just want to watch a good movie on a streaming service that's done really well, and it's a great story about a name that everybody, even if people didn't play Tetris, they know what it is. So
when you say it's like a Mission Impossible, like, is there a scene where somebody drives a motorbike like off a cliff?
Yes.
And turns into a piece of Tetris, which then you have to fit into to save the life of the Tetris.
Yes. And there are masks made out of the Tetris blocks that turn you into Russian KGB agents.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
really
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, the technology
incredible.
blew your mind.
So it's a movie, though, you're saying?
Yeah, and at one point, Clint Eastwood flies a jet that they nicknamed Firefox, and he picks up the Tetris guy, and they zoom out. You guys are so full of shit when you mess with me.
My day. Make my day. You're not gonna succeed at this puzzle.
Yeah, this is my and here's my favorite. It's kind of on the same subject. My favorite science fiction movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger line, "Give those people air." You know what I'm talking about?
Good. It's not a bad impression.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Very good.
I
think we should end on that note.
And I think you're absolutely right. We've blown it out tonight. We've totally blown it out. But I want to thank everybody for watching us on social media all over the world. This is the Sports Porch podcast, and you can catch us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. And you can always feel better about yourself by going to theporchislive.com, theporchislive.com, theporchislive.com. And we will be back next week. Can't wait. Little all-star break here, but we got some football stuff coming up. We got some big announcements coming up.
Oh, yeah.
We got all kinds of stuff coming up.
You will have your Wimbledon champions crowned.
And
let's go, Djokovic.
And let's go, Bucks.
Let's go on, Jabor.
And we're out. I'm waiting. Nothing to say?
Why don't you say something?
Another great show.
I am.
Another great show.
I'm
did it
saying
again.
something right now. We did.